where we could be alone between city lights. We don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. We're watching the new video. Well, it's about a week old, from Farouk FPV. Is he the creator of Spang? If he is not the creator of Spang, he is certainly the one of the preeminent. He's one of the best. Oh my God, this guy! Listen to the motors. Hang on a second. We're gonna go back over to this. We're going to go over to this. We're going to rewind a teensy bit, and we're going to bring up the audio. Hang on. No. Oh, we can't have that because it has copyrighted music. Darn. Boy, if you have the opportunity to listen to the motors on this guy's quad, they must be tuned within an inch of their life. Oh my God, it sounds like his quad is just struggling not to shake itself apart. And yet, I cannot imagine. It's just so hard to imagine the freaking, the response of the quads like this. Crazy. Can I find something? Nah, he's got music on all his stuff, so I don't want to play it on stream so I don't get copy struck. But oh my goodness, Farouk, what the fuck, dude? Physics don't apply to this guy. I don't know how he does it. I have not been this impressed with a pilot since. I take that back. Pilots impressed me. Like when I saw the new Johnny FPV Porsche Taycan video, I was impressed. But where you go, what is this guy doing? I mean, you watch the Taycan video and you're like, yeah, he has taken that to a level of production and piloting. He has gone further in a direction than anybody's gone before. But you look at Farouk and the Spang stuff and you're like, he's going in a new direction that I've never seen before. He's doing things with a quad that I haven't seen and didn't think were possible. Didn't even know they could exist. Super impressive. MPFPV says Farouk invented the word Spang, so therefore he invented the style. To me, Spang is just like, get off of there. It's like Juicy style, but does he do 3D flying? No, that's what's so impressive. That's all just physics, man. It's not 3D. It's amazing. The sharp stops. Just so impressive. And everybody says, oh, is it PID tuning? Is it? No, it's probably just his fingers. So, well done. I just felt like putting up some video, and I had just seen, it wasn't that video, I had just seen a video from him recently that really impressed me, and I was like, let's throw some love for Farouk out there. MPFPV says, I like this guy even more than Farouk. Alrighty. Let's see if this guy has any music, first of all. Yeah, it does. So we're not going to hear the audio because I don't want to play the music, but let's see. Who is this? This is RPMDemon. Let's see if this guy's any good. Welcome to Livestream, everybody. Are we just going to watch other people's videos? No, we'll do our Q&A. Now, first thing I notice about this is it feels like this guy is not using hypersmooth. It feels like the field of view is pretty tight, which bugs me a little bit. It feels like the field of view is tight, but okay, we'll see if I can get over that. Oof. All right, stop pausing it, Bardwell. It feels really zoomed in. I don't like it. Feels like I got blinders on. Oh, I don't know if I can get over the field of view is so tight. Yeah, like, no. Nope, sorry. MPFPV, sorry, man. Is that you, MP? Is that you? I can't get over RPMDemon. I can't get. It looks like you're a good pilot, but I can't get over the fact that you're not using SuperView. All right, MPFPV says try this one instead. We got one more chance, MPFPV. That one looks like a more appropriate field of view. Let's look at this. I don't know why I hate it when the field of view is too narrow. This one looks more like it. Normal field of view. You just can't see what the quad is doing, what it's going to do when you have a narrow field. Oh, hello. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Yes, I love those sharp stops, man. I don't know how you get those sharp stops like that. I can kind of get a tick like that when I go from like left to right. I can kind of get a tick like that sometimes, but those sharp whoop-pop stops, yeah, it's really something. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Is it like something they do in BL Heli to make their motors spool up faster? Is it the props, or is it just their sticks? That's the big question. Falco X flies a bit different and better for Spang. Justler76 says there seems to be no flow in Spang. I mean, it's a different kind of flow. I do think it would be interesting to see somebody who is capable of flying Spang style then also work in some flow. It'd be interesting. I agree that it's a very different kind of flow. But, yeah. Welcome to the live stream. It is Monday night. We're here to do some Q&A and just enjoy the hobby of FPV together while we're not out flying because it's nighttime. Here is my main screen. I am reading your comments. Here in the chat. I am reading comments from the patrons over in the Discord server here over on the right side. How's it going? How's it going, guys? And I will also be watching your super chats. If you want to make sure I get to one of your comments, don't spam the chat. Instead, hit the $sign down here, throw a couple bucks, and I will read your comments on the stream. but we're going to hold off on that for just a second. And we'll just, let everybody trickle on in on this wonderful evening. Good to see Bubby in the chat. Bubby, good to see you there, man. I hear Bubby's hanging out with the New York crew. Are you out in New York right now, Bubby? They fly Falco X. I don't believe, not to say that there's not a difference in the way that different firmwares fly. Of course there is. KISS flies different than Betaflight flies different than Falco X. Certainly if you're flying on the default tune or you have a certain type of tune you're going for, different firmware will give you different results, obviously. But I think a lot of people overestimate the contribution of the firmware and the PIDs and underestimate the contribution of the sticks. It's like people always, I'm going to date myself. People always used to ask, what's Eddie Van Halen's secret to sounding so good? Is it something he does with his guitar? Is it something he does with his amps? And obviously, Eddie Van Halen, it was a master experimenter and mad scientist, tried all kinds of things to get interesting sounds out of his guitar and his amps. But I guarantee you, if you handed Eddie any guitar in the world and he played it, it would sound like Eddie Van Halen. It's his fingers and his mind that matters more than anything else. And I think the same is true for quadcopters. The Falco X flies differently than KISS, then flies differently than Betaflight, but I guarantee you, if I were to hand one of my quads, just pick any one of my quads and hand it to Farouk, it would fly like Farouk or whoever. MP says Farouk switched back to Betaflight anyway, so... So there you go. Siati is here as well. Nice to see you, Siati. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Troy, Julian, Donahue begging for likes. Only for 200 watching, but only 30 likes. Hit that like button. Oh, thank you guys so much for watching out for my analytics. Yeah, I have been trying. I mean, not like sitting down and pounding it out, but I have wanted for a long time to be able to get those snap rewinds where you kind of just like a front flip. Nope, I'm going back the other way. Which, how hard is that? You just pitch forward and you pitch back. And yet they get this whoop, pop, and I don't know how they do it. Is it the rates? I don't know. But I still don't have it. Even like the Johnny FPV upside down rewind sort of fishhook, just something about the way they do it doesn't work for me. Anyway, we've got a couple super chats come in already. MPFPV, I run 900 degrees per second. I think it's like 907 or something. I don't know if it's PIDs or BL Heli or sticks or fingers, but there you go. Let's get some of these super chats out of the way. We're going to start with this super chat from Miguel T. Miguel T left a $50 super chat. Thank you, Miguel. That's a very, very generous super chat. Miguel says, I'm involved in both the FPV and the medical community. If you're not vaccinated, please consider getting vaccinated. I was hesitant initially, but the second wave has proven vaccines are effective and safe. Have fun flying, and please stay safe, everybody. Please do not take that as an invitation to start commenting on political stuff in the comments. Not interested in that. Seeing the comments turn into arguments. But I also agree with Miguel. I have friends in the medical community who are having a really hard time right now. And it seems like the evidence is pretty clear that vaccination is safe and effective at keeping you from overwhelming these poor people who are doing their best to keep us alive. So Miguel, thank you for your super chat, and I will lend my voice as well to that. Say, I'm vaccinated. I got it the first chance I could, and I would encourage anybody else out there to do it as well. There you go. Well, Neo Flyer says, unless the vaccine can be delivered by mini quad, why is it even being brought up? I don't know, Neo Flyer. I normally stay away from that stuff because we're all here to talk FPV. But Miguel donated $50 to have me read the message, and I respect his donation. And personally, so, you know, thank you for the donation, Miguel. Yeah. Mark, we're not even going to go there. Mark, the vaccine. God damn it. Mark, the vaccine is not a 100% guarantee that you cannot catch it, but there is no question that it significantly reduces the odds. And if you talk to the people who are, go talk to people you know who are doctors, nurses, paramedics, whatever, and they will tell you there's a big difference. All right, let's move on. That's going to do it. Robocop FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. He just gave me this. Robocop just gave this link. It's a CNN article about FPV. We're going to take a look at that. The FPV drone pilots taking cameras where humans can't go. Oh, boy. How do we mute? There we go. CNN article about drones. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know what... I mean, I guess we should all go click on the link so they get a lot of traffic. Show them some love, get them some views. FPV, CNN covering FPV. We could definitely go check that out. Durzo FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. What's Spang style? First time hearing about this. Durzo, the Spang is a style of FPV freestyle created by Farouk FPV, F-A-R-O-U-K, Farouk FPV, and you can check him out on YouTube if you want to see what it is. It's pretty incredible mastery of the quad. It reminds me a lot of the style of music. There's a style of music called math rock, which is just an incredibly complex style of music made by people who are just absolute masters of their instruments and of music theory. And it's not actually very pleasant for a lot of people to listen to, but it's a demonstration of mastery of the instrument and of musical theory. And Spang often, it reminds me a little bit of that. It's like you're watching it and like it's almost a little bit disorienting and maybe gives you some motion sickness to see, but the whole time you're watching it, you're really impressed with what's going on. Kind of can't believe it. Angelo Guahinti, thank you for $10 and a thumbs up for me. Anthony DiStefano, thanks for a $10 super chat. Can you give us a quick pro and con on remote ID and if this will let us fly long range legally? Do you have a Part 107 license? How many in Rotorite have one? There is no pro to remote ID. I'm going to be just straight and say it. It would be better to that remote ID had never happened. But given that there is a desire to regulate drones among some in the government, remote ID is what we've ended up with. And I think it's safe to say it could be worse. It could be better, and that's why Race Day Quads is suing the FAA to try and get the whole thing rolled back. We'll see how that goes. That's in process. I don't think that remote ID alone lets you fly beyond visual line of sight. Remote ID will open the door to easier BVLOS flying because if you have the right kind of remote ID transponder, the right kind of drone, then it will make it easier to get permission to fly BVLOS. I'm pulling some of that out of my memory, so I apologize if I've gotten a few of the details wrong. But simply having remote ID doesn't suddenly make it legal to go BVLOS. So no, there are a few upsides to remote ID for those flying FPV. I do have a Part 107 license. As far as how many in Rotorite have one, I mean, I couldn't speak to any of the other pilots. It's not like It's not like we have meetings where we check to see who's got what. I would assume that all of the pilots in Rotor Riot have one, since all of the Rotor Riot pilots are flying commercially in one form or another. Right? Just being a Rotor Riot pilot probably means that you would need a 107. Bear in mind, though, that there is a provision in 107 that, like, if let's say that Bubby doesn't have a 107. I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but let's say that Bubby doesn't have a 107, so he comes to a Rotor Riot shoot. Well, that's clearly commercial flying, but the 107 pilot in command for the flight doesn't have to be the person operating the controls. So 107 makes a distinction between the pilot in command, who must have a 107, and the person operating the controls. And so in many cases where there might be a non-107 person who is actually flying, such as a random person who shows up for a Rotor Riot shoot, as long as there is a 107 pilot present who is acting as the pilot in command, then everything is good. But I would assume that all the 107 Rotor Riot pilots have a 107. Mr. Stubbs in the Discord wants to know, is there an age where you don't need a 107? I believe you have to be 14 years old to get a 107. If it was closer to when I had taken the test, I would know that for sure, because that's something that's on the test, or it's at least in this test prep stuff. I think it's 14 years old. So if you're below the age of 14, you cannot legally be the pilot in command for a commercial flight, which means that if you're Pepper FPV, who is 6 years old, and you're going to races or something, technically you would need a designated pilot in command to be present, acting as the 107 for the flight. C. Mulder Seattle asks, do you need a 107 for indoor flying? No, because the FAA only regulates the national airspace, and an indoor environment is not the national airspace. So if you're indoors, you don't need a 107. You can do whatever you like. Let's see here. Thank you for the donation, Anthony DiStefano. Bubby's here in the chat. Bubby says 16 years old. I mean, I guess I believe him. He would know. Part 107 age. Oh, it's 16 years old. Google agrees with Bubby. There you go. 16 years old, just like a driver's license. Here we go. That is correct. 1IFPV. The pilot in command is not the same as the person in control. PIC is pilot in command. POC, person operating the controls, are two distinct people. Is a parking garage technically indoors? Here's the thing, Nature on a Wing FPV. My understanding is that if you are undercover, then you're not in the national airspace. So I would, and obviously this is all going to come down to, the FAA. If they decide to screw you over, how hard are they going to fight for it? I would think that if you are in a parking garage, you're not in the national airspace, even though the parking garage does have openings which go out to, a house has windows, but if you're in the house, you're clearly not in the national airspace. So then what if you are under like a tin roof, like at some kind of a outdoor, I'm blanking on the word, where like horses and cattle run around. What if you're under like some kind of a tin roof? There's no walls, right? Are you in the national airspace? I would say probably not. But yeah, it's you got to just ask yourself how much you're going to fight if the FAA comes after you. The place where it gets weird is, what if you are under a tree canopy? Somehow, and this is for sure, somehow if I am flying under tree canopy, that's in the national airspace. But if I am flying under like a sheet metal roof, that's not the national airspace, or is it? I don't know. I don't know. Where's the line? Has the FAA talked about this? If I'm like in a pole barn, short circuits, thank you. If I'm in some kind of like a pole barn that's open at the sides, it has no walls, but it has a roof. Is that the national airspace? Mad Max FPV says everything above 120 feet is national airspace. Nope, not true. Not true, Mad Max. If I am in a skyscraper above 120 feet, fully enclosed by concrete and glass, I am not in the national airspace. Period. Right? If you operate a drone in a stadium with a roof over people, you don't need a 107, 1IFPV. Well, 1IFPV, not flying over people and needing a 107 are FAA regulations. If you are in a stadium with a closed ceiling, you are not in the national airspace. Therefore, the FAA regulations don't apply. Right? There you go. So if you're in a closed stadium, now if they open the roof of the stadium, now you're in the national airspace. Figure that one out. Mad Max FPV, this 120 feet national airspace, that doesn't necessarily... People are always trying to apply different regulations to drones. So I was in an argument with somebody where they said airplanes are required to maintain 500 feet separation from the nearest, I don't know what. And he was saying, therefore, drones, there somewhere out there is a regulation that it relates to 120 feet from the top of a skyscraper. That regulation doesn't apply to where you can and can't fly your drone. That's the bottom line. Okay? But I will say the FAA has been very clear that the national airspace, which they regulate, is all navigable airspace down to the level of the ground. That's a fact. 507RC says you can't fly on your balcony recreationally if the balcony is over 400 feet in the air. But with a 107, you could because you're within 400 feet of a structure. Yeah, it's all weird. When do you need a 107 for flying, says Big Jai. Whenever you are flying in the advancement of a commercial interest. Basically, anytime you're flying is advancing a commercial interest of a business. Mad Max FPV says it applies to where a person can demand no aircraft is allowed to go. Definitely not. Definitely disagree with you there, Mad Max. Again, I got into a big argument with a guy on TikTok, claiming that he said that in New York City there are airspace rights that relate to like putting out canopies. I don't know what it relates to, hanging things from your building. And he tried to claim that the airspace rights meant that that a private building owner could prevent aircraft from flying next to or above the building. Absolutely not true. The FAA has been very, very clear that only the FAA may regulate the airspace, and only the FAA may say where aircraft may and may not fly. So there is absolutely not a distance above or adjacent to your building where you as the property owner get to prevent aircraft from flying there. Definitely not the FAA's perspective. Anyway. Does any quad over 250 grams have to be registered? Northern Tier FPV, yes. Anything over 250 grams need to be registered with the FAA in the United States. Patio Patterson says airspace in New York City is like real estate. It can be bought and sold to build a taller building. That may be true, Patty, when it comes to building buildings, but it is not true when it comes to flying aircraft. Only the FAA says where you can and can't fly aircraft. That's the FAA's position. So, Justin Rice, thank you for a $10 super chat. He says, I half took your last advice. My computer can't handle the simulator. I told him to practice in simulator. So today I picked up an SPC Maker BAT78 RTF bundle, already fluid and acro and working on coordinated turns. Thank you. Awesome, Justin. Good luck with your piloting. Creators Cup, thank you for a $10 super chat. If you are visiting a new city or area you've never been to, How would you find places to fly that have the least pushback? That's a tough one, Creators Cup. There are some places where it's likely that you'll be okay to fly. And there's any place that's relatively deserted is you're probably going to be okay to fly. But obviously, some government buildings are going to be a problem. I was once flying in a parking deck in Atlanta. So I was inside the parking deck. So no FAA regulations or no fly zones mattered. I was doing some range testing with video transmitters, and some police came up. And it turns out I didn't know this. I just thought I was in a random parking deck in downtown Atlanta. But it turns out it was a parking deck for the Georgia World Congress Center. And the Georgia World Congress Center is state property or something like that. So they didn't like that I was flying there, and they came and they were fine about it, but they told me I had to leave. So I would try to be places that other people aren't, and I would try to be there at times when other people aren't there. But the best way to fly in a new city or area is to find people who live there and see if you can hook up with people who live there. Now, that's easy if you have a YouTube channel, because everybody wants to fly with you. If you're a normal person without a YouTube channel, then the best thing to do is to find a Facebook group for the city, find a multi-GP chapter, and say, hey, I'm coming into town. Does anybody want to show me the good spots? And if you're lucky, they will. If you're not lucky, you'll just have to do your best. Kim Fused FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. Thank you for everything you do for this awesome hobby. Thank you. Callum Watts says in the YouTube chat, what happens if I don't register my drone that's over 250 grams and I fly it without making any content? Callum Watts, the vast majority of people who violate the FAA regulations about drones will never be caught and will never be prosecuted. The FAA has extremely limited resources for enforcement. Extremely limited. The FAA only investigates people when they get so many complaints that you have to be at the top of a very big pile for them to even know you exist. So, when a big YouTuber does something that violates regs, like Paul Nurkala flying near that train during his flight of the year, and people are like, hey, this guy's flying, and the FAA gets, hundreds or maybe thousands of complaints. Who knows? I don't know how many they got. When you are so egregious that they notice you, then they come and they give you a fine. Or usually they don't. That's actually not true, because and this is based on personal experiences of people I know. Obviously, I'm not going to name names, but people I know who have had interactions with the FAA. Usually, like Stingy's talked about this publicly, so I'll talk about his example. They come to you and they say, hey, we're with the FAA, just want to talk to you. And you say, okay. And they say, hey, we got some complaints about this video you made. I just wanted to check, do you have a 107? Yeah, I got a 107. Yeah, okay, so what were your who was the pilot in command for this flight? What were your safety protocols? And so in Stingy's case, they had done some building dives. Now, they were within 400 feet of a structure. So the whole, you might be in a no-fly zone, they were fine because they were within 400 feet of a structure. And they said, well, it was Thanksgiving morning. It was Christmas morning. So we knew the building was closed. We had some people standing around as spotters watching for pedestrians. There were no pedestrians. We didn't fly over any people. And what Stingy said is that the FAA inspectors were like, okay, cool. Yeah, it would be great if in the future when you did dangerous, dumb shit, if you just took a second in the video and spoke about your safety precautions, just so people know. Stingy was like, okay. There you go. That was the end of it. My point is that very seldom does the FAA come out and just fine you and say, here's the ban hammer. Screw you. Generally, they focus first on education. And if they feel like that they cannot educate you, or they feel like that you are a repeat offender, then they'll come and fine you. Now, here's the thing. Once they decide to fine you, it's bad. It's very bad. Like, the minimum fine I've ever heard of someone getting from the FAA is single-digit thousands of dollars, $1,500. And if they really want to, usually they can find more than one thing you did wrong. And so you'll get a ticket for $1,500, another ticket for $1,500. If you look at Philly Mikey, I think is the guy's name. He was a guy who had a YouTube channel. Maybe he still does. I don't know. He flew Mavics in the city of Philadelphia. And he didn't have a 107. And he flew over cars and over streets and next to trains. And he got like 50 or 100 or some number of fines, to the point where it was hundreds of thousands of dollars in total fines. I don't know what the resolution was, honestly. Maybe something's happened. But people who said they knew him were like, wow, that's a big number. People commented on the Facebook threads and said, well, actually, he's been giving them the middle finger for a long time. They've been trying to get a hold of him, telling him to stop. So apparently they didn't just come out of nowhere and find the crap out of him. I haven't been, obviously you can't verify that any of this is true, but people who said they were from Philly and said they knew him said the FAA he was telling them to screw off for a long time. And finally they were just like, all right, you're done. So what will happen if you fly a 250 gram drone without registering it? Probably nothing. But if you end up fail-safing that drone on the White House lawn, now they got something to hang you for. That's the bottom line. Aerobrat has brought up US v. Cosby. US v. Cosby was a court case where a farmer sued the government because airplanes were flying low over his fields and were scaring the crap out of his chickens, and actually in some cases killing his chickens, just because the chickens were like terrified and they were hurting his business. And he said, I own this airspace. You can't fly your aircraft low over my airspace and hurt my business. And Cosby is by the way, Causby, Cosby, not Cosby, the actor and comedian, different guy. US v. Cosby was a different case. It did not involve chickens. It was a weird case because on the one hand, the Supreme Court said that the government couldn't just fly aircraft low over your property and ruin your business. That constituted, I don't know if taking is the legal term, but basically that the government had to compensate him for the harm they were doing to him by flying over his property. But the flip side is that they said that you do not own the airspace to the heavens above, that there was a limit on the amount of airspace you could own. And a lot of people in the FPV community think that Cosby means that basically the government that you own the airspace above your property, which is not what Cosby says. Cosby says that you have the right to use the airspace. So let's say that the government is flying airplanes over your property and you want to put up a tower, a flagpole, an antenna, a big antenna. That's realistic. And your antenna is going to go 200 feet into the air. Well, US v. Cosby says you have the right to do that. It's your property. You have the right to use it. And the government has to either get out of your way or they have to compensate you for preventing you from using your property. But the key thing that people miss when they talk about Cosby, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a jerk who's read some Wikipedia articles. I have talked to lawyers about this. So, the key thing that people get wrong about Cosby is that flying a drone in the airspace is not considered by the FAA to be the kind of use of the airspace that Cosby protects. So if you want to build a tower, you want to build an antenna, you want to build a building, you want to use that airspace, you can. But flying within that airspace, that's not using it, and that's not protected. So they regulate that. And so USV Cosby doesn't mean what people usually think it means. All right. So you want to fly in your airspace. Put up a net. Enclose your property in a net. Now it is no longer part of the national airspace, and you can fly there without interference from the FAA. Backyard Scientist, thanks for a $2 super chat. James, thanks for $2 Australian dollars. What are your thoughts on filming FPV close to wild animals? You know, James, I've been known to chase a squirrel or a rabbit on my property. If I'm flying and I see a rabbit, I might fly down near it. You know, and some would argue that I'm harassing the poor rabbit, I guess. I usually try to stay away from birds. I know people like sometimes to fly up next to birds. I think it probably isn't like good for the bird. I think the bird's probably a little freaked out. I've been attacked by hawks. That's on them, though, not on me. In general, I'm probably inclined to just leave animals alone. Yeah, but I don't have a lot of like negative. I don't like, oh, how dare you if you fly next to an animal. It's probably not a big deal. I think it depends a lot on how the animal is responding to the aircraft. I think, like, for example, you know, horses. I think horses often are not comfortable and get a little spooked by a quadcopter flying around. Well, I wouldn't want to, you know, annoy the animal. So, you know, deer, I don't know. Screw deer, right? Anyway. License to drive, thanks for £5. Texas farmers could use what the FAA spout about drone laws and regulations to fertilize half their crops. Steady Eddie FPV, thanks for $5. I registered my Acro B65 as one of my 107 drones for IGAL Week 7. Ridiculous. $5 for a flying coaster. But my 107 is work-related, so I had to play nice. Yeah. Technically, if you're in the International Game of Whoop, then that's a 107 operation because they're giving away prizes. So if you're competing in IGAL, then technically you're supposed to have a 107. Isaiah Galante, thanks for a $5 super chat. Just saying, hope your day is going well. Hope your day is going well, Isaiah. We're caught up on the super chats. Thank you guys so much. Let's see here. What else we got? So if I own a big ranch, I still need Lance if it's controlled airspace, asks 1IFPV. Yeah, 1IFPV, your ownership of the land does not translate to freedom from regulation of the airspace. So if you own a big ranch that's right off the end of a Class D runway, then that Class D airspace probably extends into your property and is regulated, and you must respect that. Doesn't matter if you, yeah, as 507RC says, if you're in controlled airspace, it doesn't matter if you own the property. That is true. The thing about like YouTube is this. Here's why people don't get in trouble on YouTube. Because the burden of proof is on the government. Okay? So let's say I post a YouTube video of a drone flying in controlled airspace. Well, who's the pilot? Prove it. When was the video taken? Was it within the statute of limitations for the crime? Prove it. Okay? So a lot of times the things, like if you post a video of you competing in International Game of Whoop, well, first of all, a lot of people doing IGAO are flying indoors. So actually you don't need a 107 because you're indoors. You're not in the national airspace. But if you post a video, like for me, I fly around my house. I'm supposed to maintain visual line of sight with my aircraft at all times, which means that I need a spotter if I have FPV goggles covering my face. Now, I have a spotter because if I were to go on a live stream and say I violate 107 regulations, that would be stupid. It would be stupid to go on a live stream and say, I'm breaking the law. Here I am, giving up my right against self-incrimination. Yep. That would be dumb. So yeah, I have a spotter. Probably. As far as you know. I certainly wouldn't say that I don't. But my point is, it would be up to the FAA to prove to a judge that I was violating the regs. And as long as you are reasonably not an idiot, then you probably can leave enough room for doubt that no one could make a case against you. That's why when Philly Mikey got fined, somebody told me it was $188,000 in fines. When Philly Mikey got fined, they only fined him for his live streams. They didn't fine him for his uploaded videos, even though the uploaded videos had the exact same kind of content in them. And people say, well, why did they fine him for the live streams and not the uploaded videos? And one argument that, and I don't know if this is true, but an argument was that the live streams, they knew for sure the date and time that the flight was performed. Therefore, they knew that it was within the statute of limitations after the regulation was passed. And you could certainly say, well, what if the live stream wasn't actually live? What if it was a replay of a previous flight? Or you could say, well, what if he wasn't actually flying? What if it's all a simulation? I mean, you could always what if something, but it seems like they felt that for the live streams, they had a reasonable belief that he was the pilot, the flight was on this date and time, and they could get him. So, how hard is it to get a 107? Asks Anthony DeStefano. What's the most difficult part, and do you have to fly? No, you don't have to fly. It's entirely computer-based, paper-based thing, and it's not that difficult to get, just some studying. I mean, it depends on how good you are at taking tests. Mr. Eddie Nunez points out that Philly Mikey's live streams, he was broadcasting his actual phone screen. So the live stream was showing his phone screen, which presumably had the date and time on it, and also had his telemetry, including his height and distance. And he was launching with the drone facing himself. So that's how they were like, okay, well, I guess we got this guy. Were you the pilot? Yup. Did you violate the height restrictions? Yup, here it is on your own phone. You know? So, point is, the point is that unless you are really blatant about it, unless you get a lot of the wrong kind of attention, like Paul Nurkala's video blew up. He got millions of views from people outside the FPV community, at which point the FAA came to him and was like, hey, was that you? Anyway, you're probably going to be fine. But just do it. Just get your 107. It's not that hard. And why did I get my 107? Because I was tired of every time I post a video going, oh, I really should get my 107. I'm not going to tell you when I got it, but it was after I should have had it. And I was tired of going, one of these days I'm going to get a phone call from the FAA and they're going to be like, do you have a 107? And I'm going to be like, no. So I was just like, screw it, I'll get it. Anyway. Creators Cup, thanks for a $5 super chat. He wants to donate to the rabbit who I chased with my quad. Do you think there should be a practical proficiency part of the 107 exam? Asks 1IFPV. 1IFPV, I don't know. No. I'm fine with 107 not being more restrictive than it was. Patio Patterson says, Philly Mikey, the story gets better and better. He says Philly Mikey was taunting the FAA on his live stream saying, "Look, I'm on the sticks. Look who's flying," as he was landing in camera view. Yeah, sounds like he removed all benefit of the doubt and dared the FAA to fine him. And the FAA was like, "Okay, we'll do it if you really want us to." Anyway, Braden Beershed wants to know, am I in North America? I'm wondering if Banggood is better than Amazon. Braden, Amazon is way better than Banggood in terms of customer service. Amazon has an amazing return policy. Anything you order off of Amazon is super easy to return. But the flip side of that is Amazon takes a cut of everything sold on Amazon, and Amazon's return policy is so generous that companies that sell on Amazon lose money because they have to accept returns, or they're not allowed to sell on Amazon, or they lose their prime status, their preferred status. So stuff on Amazon is often much more expensive. That's not necessarily true for like brand name stuff, but for little stuff, like you go buy a TBS Unify on Amazon, it'll probably be $10 more than if you bought it from Get FPV or Race Day Quads, and that's sort of the Amazon tax. So Amazon is better in that respect. Banggood is usually much cheaper, but customer service is just assume it's non-existent, and then if you get any customer service at all from Banggood, you'll have done yourself a favor. And shipping is often slow, especially these days where shipping from China is often very slow. So Banggood has its place. There are things you can buy on Banggood that aren't available hardly anywhere else. Although I will say Pyrodrone in the United States, of the major FPV vendors in the USA, Pyrodrone seems to do the best at having these little items that normally are only available on Banggood. There are lots of items that don't have enough margin for a USA retailer to bother carrying them. Eachine goggles, I think, is one of them. I'm not sure about that. It's one of the goggle manufacturers. I think it's Eachine. And I asked a store, why don't you carry Eachine? You know, get these goggles. And they're like, man, there's no margin. Banggood can afford it because they have no costs because they're based in China. So there's lots of products that for whatever reason aren't carried by USA manufacturers, but Pyro seems to do a really good job of carrying nearly everything. So if you're in the USA, first look at the USA vendors: Pyrodrone, Get FPV, Race Day Quads, the major USA vendors. Newbie Drone is doing a better job of having a wider variety of stuff, although they're still not as wide as like a Race Day Quads or a Pyrodrone. Look on Banggood, look on Amazon, compare the price, and make a decision. I've been impressed with that. That makes Pyro really stand out. There's so many things, like, because when I make a video review, then I'll go look at the stores and I'll see who has the product, so I can put links in the video description. And so often there's a product that's available on Banggood, and then not Race Day Quads, not Get FPV, and then Pyro has it. I'm like, there you go. They're hustling. Christopher Grand thinks Pyro has the fastest shipping. Race Day Quads is known for their fast shipping. They're located. I think it may depend on if you're on the east or the west coast, but Race Day Quads is known for getting things out the day of the order, up to pretty late in the day. Of course, once the post office gets it, then there's no control. It's just up to the postal service. Is Newbie Drone US based? Seth Calhoun asks. Newbie Drone is based in San Diego. Yeah, they're based out of San Diego. I think Newbie Drone used to only carry like Newbie Drone stuff, but then a while back they hired a guy to run their warehouse, and they started expanding to be a more general purpose store. But Newbie Drone still doesn't carry the variety of stuff that like a Race Day Quads or a Pyrodrone does. Creators Cup, thank you for a $5 super chat. I visited Pyrodrone last week, so helpful. Now I'm broke. Rye Heyman, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm going to do a KISS FetTech build, and I was wondering how to set up SharkBite and analog smart audio with KISS FetTech, or if it's even possible. Rye, FetTech and KISS support the MSP protocol, but I don't know if they support full-on canvas mode. So I think you might be able to get the basic OSD, but not the full Betaflight OSD. If anybody can tell me who has KISS and SharkBite, whether it's supported and whether canvas mode is supported, I'll keep an eye on the chat and we'll see if we can get an answer there. Let's see here. People talking about shipping times. There's lots of smaller stores like Heli Nation, like Defiance RC. There's lots of smaller stores who often will have product after the big stores sell out. So it's worth checking them. Like, for example, Defiance RC is one that I've used before. Let's throw some love to the smaller stores. Defiance RC. Sorry, this is USA stuff. Sorry, people outside the USA. Cyclone FPV. I think that's in the USA, isn't it? I believe it is. Am I wrong about that? Where are they based? Where are they based? 833. Does it say? America. I think they're in the USA. There's another one. Throttle Up USA. This is a new store. The only reason I know about this store is because they carry... Oh, look at that. They carry my flight controller. They carry the Redux Air ESC, and they had stock of the Redux Air ESC when everybody else was out of stock, and I was able to get so I was like, oh, who's this guy? Who am I missing? Throttle, Defiance RC, Cyclone. Who was the other one that I was going to get? Heli Nation, that's it. Heli Nation. Let's see. Heli Nation. Buddy RC, are they still around? I think they are. Buddy RC. Now, Buddy RC, do they sell FPV stuff? They have some FPV stuff. Like, okay, like if you're selling a Bosscam video transmitter in 2021, I'm going to seriously wonder whether you're actually, yeah, no. Are you really an FPV? Yeah. No one has updated this stock list in like 5 years. Okay, sorry, Buddy RC. They got DJI. Okay, no, that's legit. Diatone Mamba. All right, Buddy RC, you're fine. Ready Made RC. I haven't mentioned Ready Made RC because they're one of the main stores that I do business with, so I wasn't thinking of them as like, oh, these little stores that I always overlook. Yeah, Ready Made RC. Who else we got? Not FPV Cycle. FPV Cycle is Bob Rugi's. That's a main FPV store, although it only sells his stuff. FPV Crate. People don't know that FPV Crate is a store as well as a subscription box. They only have, limited stuff, but they do sell, like they sell Radio Master stuff, for example. Grayson Hobby is a great one. Grayson Hobby is an actual brick and mortar store in Loganville, Georgia. In Loganville, Georgia. but they also have an online presence. If you live in Georgia, you can go check them out. They're one of the only brick and mortar stores that I know of that sells FPV gear. Progressive RC, great one. Progressive RC, great one. They mostly sell chargers, but they've got some DJI stuff. I mean, I mostly know them for their chargers. Let's see. People in the chat posting more stores, more that I actually can't even keep up with, to be honest with you. Full Send FPV. Heli Direct. We got Heli Nation. Heli Direct. I should make a video out of this. All these little stores that I always overlook. FPV Heli Direct. Let's see. Full Send FPV. Full Send FPV. Oh. Well, what about 533? Now, 533 is Evan Turner's company. They mostly sell Evan Turner's stuff, but certainly worth mentioning. WeSellQuadParts.com. I actually really love this segment we've stumbled into. I'm going to turn this into a video where I just shout out a bunch of stores that people haven't heard of. So thank you guys for helping build this. FPV Friends. FPVFriends.com. I should say this is not a personal endorsement of all of these stores. Some of these I didn't even know existed. But Excel Hobbies. Apparently a brick and mortar. Harsey Hobby Supplies. Do they have... Yeah, but do they have FPV stuff? See, this to me doesn't look like FPV stuff. Rotor Labs at Canada. Oh, we're going to Canada now. There's too many. Good Venture. Good Venture FPV. Good Venture Drones. Let's see here. AKK Race Ranger. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Pinion FPV. I never heard of this store. Remy Tim says Excel is where Vortex worked. Jeff Order worked in Detroit. I didn't know that. Pinion FPV. I don't know about that. Drone Racing Parts in New York City. DroneRacingParts.com in New York City. A-Main Hobbies. A-Main, I think, mostly focuses on trucks and cars. But they do have some FPV stuff. Is it any good? Futaba Radio. Beta FPV. Yeah. This isn't feeling super FPV-ish. Yeah. Yeah. Got a few things. I don't think it'd be the first place I'd go. Tiny Sleds. Yep. Tiny Sleds. Limited stuff, but some TVS stuff. All right, we got to cut this off or we're just going to spend the entire... Airblade UAV. That's a good one. Airblade UAV. Yes, sir. Rotor Geeks. Now, Rotor Geeks is in Canada, and Rotor Geeks has a soft spot in my heart. Way back when, is it Rotor Geeks? I think it was. They used to make this really good ESC way back in the day. Really good BL Heli ESC, one of the best. We Bleed FPV. Heck yeah. Now, We Bleed FPV is, they make mostly like whoop stuff, including whoop gates and batteries. Let's see here. We're running out. Oh my God, sure. Oh my God is Tommy Tibahia's site. And of course, mostly sells his products, which are good products. Not so much a general purpose store, but... All right. It's ramping down. I'm sure there are some that I missed. Rotor Village, Rotor Quest, Rotor Rev, Rotor Geeks. Canada seems to like the word rotor. Rotor Village, Rotor Quest, Rotor Rev. Canada likes the word rotor. All right, let's wrap it up. Yes, DQ, that's it. The RG20 ESCs. You remember them? Oh my God, this was Rotor Geeks RG20 that's the one. This was such a good ESC back in the day. This was such a good ESC back in the day. Oh, good times. We went up from 12 amps to 20 amps, and oh, we were high on the hog. Gracious sakes. All right, now the moment of truth, folks. Oh, you guys, I was wondering if we were just going to see the concurrent viewers just drop and drop and drop as we went through the store. Went through the store list. But apparently you guys really enjoyed it. So we will turn this into... I think I'm going to try and turn this into like an actual segment so that people can check out all these wonderful shops. If you guys have more, then what you should do is put them in the live stream chat, and people who watch the stream will see it. But we're gonna close this one up and move on to something else. We'll move on to the next topic. There's a lot of stores out there. There's a lot of stores. How many of these are going to be around in 6 months or a year? I hear, little birds bring me messages telling me that some stores are struggling, that sales are down, yeah. We'll have to see if these guys stick around, but for now they're there. So, Maverick, thank you for a $5 super chat. I built your Xylo build for my first 5-inch. RSSI shows 0 in the OSD with RXSR and jumper T-Light using ACCST. Yeah, Maverick, the RXSR doesn't report RSSI by default. You have to set it up. The way to set it up... That's not part of the tutorial, I don't think. Here's the video showing how to set it up, Maverick. This video is a little bit dated, but basically still works. There's how to set it up, Maverick. Yeah, Chris Croft, exactly. It's hard to make sales when you can't get stock, no doubt. People have asked the question, well, if views are down and sales are down, then is FPV dying? And I'm like, hold on, that's true for like everything. The other day I went into the local Ford dealer because I just wanted to look at the new 2021 Mach 1 Mustang. I was like, all right, I was driving by, just like go in, and I walked in. There were literally no cars on the showroom floor. Think about that for a second. There were no cars on the showroom floor. It was literally just a giant empty showroom with salespeople's desks tucked away in the corner. And I said, you got a Mach 1 I could look at, maybe do a little test drive. And they were like, nope, we can order you one. I was like, yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you'd love to order me one sight unseen. Let me just get right on that. My point is, if car dealers can't get cars, there's supply issues for everything. And so when you see that FPV products are out of stock, and when you hear that stores are making fewer sales, don't think, oh, FPV's in trouble. It's a contraction of lots of things around the world in the economy. There definitely are things that are selling like gangbusters, like housing market has been going bonkers. Like some things are selling like crazy, but a lot of things you just can't get them. So if you can't get them, you can't sell them. So we'll see. I hope these stores stick around. It's good to have them. Caleb Watts wants to know, are the Attitude V6 goggles good for the price? Caleb, I've seen you ask that question a couple times, and thank you for not spamming the chat too much. Appreciate that. The Attitude V6 goggles, well, what price are you getting them at, man? I don't think you're going to find them new. Are you? So what price, Caleb? What price are they good for? They're solid goggles. The thing about the Attitude V6 that annoys me the most is that they don't have a standard aspect ratio. They have a 16:10 aspect ratio, and then they take a 4:3 image and chop the top and bottom off to show you the 16:10 to fit it on the, so they don't squish it. So you're losing the top and the bottom of your screen on the Attitude, and it's kind of annoying. I think Attitude V6 would not be my first choice. Yeah, Johnny 5 says a used set of HDO around 260 to 290 is a better deal. I agree. So let's go to this website, fpvexchange.com, which is a website where you can buy and sell used FPV stuff. And, for example, let's look for Attitude V6. Let's see if they're for sale and how much they're sale for. Attitude V6, these are asking prices. You may be able to get them lower. $350, $350. You're dreaming. $375, $472. What, are you crazy? That's got to come with a module or something, right? Okay. I don't know what you're thinking. $384, $350, $350, $329, $266. Is that legit? Huh. $266 in Toronto. All right, that's the cheapest so far. That's about it. Looks like most people are asking $350. Occasionally you'll see them for $325. And then this, I'm not sure if this is like what the deal is with this. I don't know if these are used either. I think a lot of these are new. Not used. $449. Oh, that's Italy, Hong Kong. I see. Can we, let's take global and let's just pick United States. Condition, let's do condition, used, like new, and good. There we go. $300. So now we've only got $300. I think you can do better for $300 though than the Attitude V6. So let's look for category. Let's see if there's a category for FPV goggles. Can I search categories? Yeah. No? Okay. Category goggles. Well, that's mostly modules, though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Vampire is pointing out FPV Exchange shows store listings as well as private sales. Like, I just feel like you could get a Skyzone Sky 030. What are they? How much are they? $300. So here's the Skyzone Sky 030 for $300 in Long Island, New York, United States of America. For $300, I would take this over an Attitude V5, no question. Hands down. Without hesitation. All right. There you go. Jory FPV says Attitude V6 pre-owned on eBay are going for $220 to $330 depending. Doesn't seem like a great deal compared to getting original HDOs. Yeah. P4SH4 says 3D printing. Should I get a Sovol SV01 or an Ender 3V2 at the same price? No question. The Sovol SV01. The Ender 3 doesn't have dual Z motors. The Sovol, so the Sovol has dual Z-axis motors. The Ender 3 does not. The Sovol is direct drive. The Ender 3 is Bowden. So the Sovol is a $50 to $100, depending on how you slice it. The Sovol is minimum a $50 value over the Ender 3, because if you buy an Ender 3 and you upgrade it with a dual Z-axis screw, that dual set is going to cost you about $50, maybe a little less. So the Sovol is minimum $50 better. So there's no reason an Ender 3 should be the same price as the Sovol SV01. Sovol is really solid. Sovol is really solid. If you can afford $400 for goggles, Caleb Watts, then I'll be looking for a used set of HDOs or HDO2s, or maybe a Sky 040. The Sky 040 is so new that you probably won't find many used. Fat Shark HDO. Fat Shark HDO, $400. How about not condition all? I want used. I don't want any store listings. It's HDO2. I guess you need a module. Damn. Yeah. You're not going to get the HDO with a module for $400. It's not going to happen. Unfortunate. What about a Sky 04L? Sky 04L for $400. That's worth a look. That's worth a look. CMYK FPV in the Discord wants to know if I have a spectator monitor recommendation. I really don't, CMYK. I don't. I kind of don't use those very. I used to have one a long time ago. I don't have a recommendation for a good one because I just don't use them. Jory FPV thinks an original HDO with a module for $400 is doable. I think maybe, but you're gonna have to search. Sky 04X, I think the Sky 04X is like $500. So if a Sky 04X it's $529 new, it feels like there's a world where you could find a used one for $400, which would be a hell of a great purchase. A used Sky 04X for $400 is one of the best deals you're going to find in analog goggles. The Sky 04X is on par with the best, but you're going to have to find somebody selling one used. ZFPV says he'd sell his HDOs with rapid fire right now for $350. Well, there you go. Reach out. Make the hookup. Coelho FPV wants to know, if the China-Taiwan thing truly heats up, what do you think will happen to the drone parts source? That's above my pay grade, Coelho. I know Taiwan is a source for a lot of silicon manufacturing. A lot of chips come out of there, but all of the political ramifications, economic ramifications, I don't know. Oblivion Blade, thank you for a $20 super chat. Thank you for all your help. I am flying a shark bite with Kakute F7 and I lost my OSD. Was there one flight? Not the next. Now I only see Foxier cam power count timer. I can't get cam controller OSD. Did I fry my OSD? If you're flying shark bite, then your OSD is not... It's the MSP connection, the TX and the RX wires. So did your TX and RX wires come disconnected maybe? That's what I would check. The TX and RX wires from the Kakute to the Sharkbite VTX, that would be what would cause that, right? Wesley Vardy says with Sharkbite, the OSD is rendered on the receiver. Yeah, so it's not like an OSD chip issue. It's got to be the TX-RX wires, and then he doesn't have that information. Seems like it's got to be. How low can you find DJI V1 goggles? Yeah, not at all. DJI FPV goggles V1, no sellers. Goggles antenna. Yeah, no one is selling them. I don't know. I don't see them. The thing that stands out to me about Oblivion Blade's question about the OSD is that it was working one flight, then not the next. So we know that, like, it's not the ports tab, because this ports tab didn't change between two flights. There's got to be a wiring thing. I mean, that's the likely thing. Eddie Nunez is referring to a Facebook post where a guy was trying to sell DJI goggles for like $500, and they weren't moving. And I was like, that's too high for $500. I don't know if it was a V1. I think it was a V2. I feel like the price for a V1 is $450 or less, depending on how bad you want to move. Dog Tanyan suggests that the OSD is broken because they broke the OSD chip on landing. Dog Tanyan, he's using Sharkbite, so the analog OSD chip is not being used. Michael Garrick says, I challenge you to work out a custom stick configuration like reversing pitch for the DJI FPV drone. So many people are looking for this feature. First of all, why would you want to reverse pitch? I know why. Because you grew up playing first-person shooters with inverted pitch, and now when you're being asked to fly an aircraft, it hurts you. Inverted pitch, forget it. I'm not supporting that. If you use inverted pitch, you get what you deserve. That's what I say. So I'm not helping you invert pitch on anything. You should suffer. That goes for all you people fly on mode 3 as well. I'm not helping you. You could suffer through it. All right, so much for that. Why are you inverting pitch? That's not how aircraft work. You pull back on the stick to pitch back and go up. That's how aircraft work. I mean, whatever. I don't know how you would do that. If you're using the DJI, does the DJI controller support that? I don't know if it does. You can change it in your controller, says David Morton. You can invert pitch in the DJI FPV controller. Can it be done? I've found I do a lot better with pitch inverted. Okay, here's the first thing. Okay, I'm going to rant here. So get ready for it. There are a few things that annoy me more than someone who gets into a hobby, let's say FPV, and 2 hours in, they go, you know, I think inverted pitch works really better for me. You don't know. You don't know anything. You don't know what you do and don't know. You just started. You have no muscle memory. You have no neural pathways mapped out. Oh, your very first time picking up a quadcopter and it feels to you like inverted pitch is better? That's like, you know, I think I'm going to learn to play the bagpipes. Oh, this is really awkward. Do you know, I think it'd be better if I held it under my right arm instead of my left arm or however. Oh, yeah, that feels much better. You know what? Shut up and do it the way that you do it the way that everybody else does it. What do you know? You just got here. You don't know anything. I'm not picking on this one guy in specific, for the record. I see this a lot. People go, I just think it's better if I change this thing about how everybody else does it on my first day. People who work, when the new guy shows up the first day on the job and he's like, hey, you know, I think it'd be better if we did it this way. What do you say? You say, oh yeah, shut up. When you've been here for a little while, then we'll give a crap about your opinion. If I go to take piano lessons and the piano teacher says, here's how you hold your hand. And I say, you know, that's really uncomfortable. I think it'd be better if I held it this other way. He'll say, I'm sorry, why did you... Okay, anyway, enough ranting. If you've been flying for 30 hours or 40 hours and you feel like maybe there's something, you know, you're giving it a fair shot. Maybe you could have an opinion. But there's a reason things are the way they are. You should at least find out if the normal way is going to work for you before you decide on your very first day, within 5 minutes of picking it up, you know, this is really awkward. Oh, you've always played video games and you've done it one way. Well, this isn't a video game! Anyway. So anyway, is there a way to do it? Like, can you imagine? Hang on. Is there a way to invert it? Its function is unavailable. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Welcome to the Air Force, son. You're going to be a fighter pilot. We're gonna teach you to fly airplanes. Oh boy, yay! I might get to be a fighter pilot. I'm gonna be like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Well, everybody says that, but not out loud usually. Keep that to yourself. Anyway, here's the aircraft. Go ahead, have a seat in the aircraft. Oh boy, I'm sitting in a fighter jet. This is the coolest thing I ever saw. Hold on. All right, now you pull back on the stick to go up. Really? Well, that's not how I did it on my Xbox. Is that reversible? No, the F-16 doesn't work like that, son. What are you talking? This is a $47 million aircraft? Got computers all around me, and I can't reverse the pitch stick? What kind of freaking aircraft is this? But the F-22 can reverse the pitch stick. All right, fine, I guess I'll learn to pull back, to pitch back. What else can't this aircraft do, sir? Just shut up and learn how to do it. Okay? Okay, all right. That's enough of that. Oh. Okay, but for real, obviously the beauty of FPV and open source is that you can make it work however you want, right? You want to fly mode 3, fly mode 3. I don't give a shit. You want to invert pitch, go ahead, invert pitch. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb. But no, obviously, I don't care. You do what you want. All joking aside, the actual reason, it's not just that I love compliance and conformity and I hate free thinkers, right? It's not that, far from it. But there's a, when everybody flies the same stick mode, then it's easier to learn from each other. If I go ask Farouk FPV to show me how to spang, I hope he flies mode 2. So can you do it? This is not for the DJI FPV drone though, is it? Is this the DJI FPV drone? John Goblin? This is the DJI FPV, the controller that's used for the air unit in the Vista, not the FPV drone. They want to invert it on the FPV drone, I think. So this is not the same thing. Okay. Ben T, thank you for a $5 super chat. Ben T says, to be fair, people play left-handed guitars. You're 100% right, but I have to say, if someone was learning to play guitar, like I play guitar, okay? I'm left-handed. I play a standard right-handed guitar. Why do I play a right-handed guitar? My dad taught me to play guitar. His guitar was right-handed. I just learned to play right-handed guitar. Think about this. Are there any left-handed pianos? No. Why not? I mean, I know that left-handed pianos do exist in the world. No one learns to play left-handed piano. Why does no one learn to play left-handed piano? Wouldn't you rather have your dominant hand playing the melody and your non-dominant hand playing the bass? Maybe it doesn't matter. You play guitar. One hand's picking, one hand's fretting. It's complicated. Both of them are complicated. You just learn to do it. So, and people who learn to play left-handed guitars cannot just pick up a guitar and play. Nope, sorry. I only play left-handed guitars. What a handicap that is. So that's makes the point. If let's say you know how to play guitar, you know how to play only left-handed guitars. Well, you better hope you bring your guitar everywhere you go, because nobody else has a left-handed guitar for you to pick up. But you play right-handed guitar, you can play every guitar in the world. And the same is true of learning to fly mode 2. Anyway. Hectactica, thank you for a $5 super chat. Diatone Mamba F722 DJI flight controller. Current in the OSD says 327. After a few flights, all other OSD elements work fine. Current sensor blue. Is this common? No, I wouldn't say it's common. But yours blue. I don't know why yours blue. But, Nick Marino, thank you for a $5 super chat. I know there are no whoops, but are there any good small DJI drones for in-house flying? Nick Marino, I think the iFlight Alpha A85 is one of the best small DJI drones for indoor flying. It's the closest you're going to get. There's no daddy issue here. Like, my dad taught me to play guitar. He taught me on a right-handed guitar. I didn't know that left-handed guitars were even a thing. I just learned, I was like, hey, Dad, what are you doing? Can you teach me how to do that? Right? And I just learned on a standard right-handed guitar. And I'm glad. I'm glad I did. Thank you, Ken Heron, for a $10 super chat. Ken thinks I need some money for a sandwich. All right. Well, thank you for that. That was an enjoyable rant. I did enjoy that. David Morton says the Alpha A85 is too powerful for indoors. Well, what is there? What else is there? I mean, I'm open to suggestions, David. I agree the A85 isn't great, but there's really nothing smaller, is there, than the A85? Now, I'll tell you something. Being left-handed, the place where I desperately wanted left-handed tools was when I was shooting. Nothing more fun than shooting a rifle left-handed and having shells or casings just shooting right across your face. Right across your face. And I am also left-eye dominant. So I'm left-handed and left-eye dominant. The idea that, oh, well, let me just learn how to do it right-handed. For some reason, why don't you just learn to do it right-handed? I don't know. That one, I just could not shoot right-handed, and I could not learn to aim with the right eye. I just don't feel like learning to fly mode 2 versus mode 3 or mode 1. I just don't feel like that's the same. I don't feel like it's the same. Anyway, so I always shot left-handed, and I never had a left-handed rifle. So I just right across my face. What about my boxing stance, Johnny 5? I don't know about that, Johnny. I'm trying to think back to when I did jiu-jitsu. Obviously, jiu-jitsu isn't boxing. I feel like I'd be more comfortable jabbing with my left hand. Is that how lefties usually do it? You would probably have your dominant, because your dominant hand is more precise and your non-dominant hand is usually stronger. I feel like I would jab with my left hand. Anyway. Dominant hand in the back. Okay. Well, I'm left-handed, but I still feel like I would feel more comfortable jabbing with the left. So there you go. Thank you, Northern Tier FP, for a $10 super chat. Some beer to drink with my sandwich. Love it. Shows you what I know about boxing. Heckonarson, thank you for $5, $6. Have you looked at the T-Motor FT5 Mark II? I would like to hear your thoughts. Well, for $5, $6, I will look at the T-Motor FT5 Mark II. Oh. So I don't know why you would jab with your non-dominant hand. Usually your non-dominant hand is stronger. I mean, obviously you should train so they match, but most people, I think your dominant hand does fine work and your non-dominant hand does rough work. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. T-Motor FT5 Mark II, $195. They're calling it a 60% drone. What are they leaving out? Installation of the motor and the stacker completed at the factory, but no camera. That's interesting. I've never heard this before. A 60% drone. That's a new category of drone that I've literally never heard of before this very minute. So they do the hard part. They solder the motors in the stack. So then what do you do for the video transmitter and the camera? I don't get it. You still have to what do you do for the video transmitter and the camera? I'm missing something. Oh, hang on. So they're going to save you the trouble of soldering, but then you got to solder the camera and the VTX. Okay, I guess I see their point though. I see what they're doing here. It's not the soldering that you're concerned about. They're like, look, we're going to sell you the frame, the stack, and the motors, and you pick whatever camera and VTX you want. We don't care. Because T-Motor doesn't make a camera or VTX. That's clever. That's clever. You could put DJI in it. You could put analog in it. It's up to you. That's pretty clever, honestly. That's pretty clever. $200. So, $350 with DJI. That's 2021 pricing. A year ago, this would be $150. But I feel like still, those are Velox motors. I take that back. What are Velox motors? Those are $20 motors, if that. That'd be $80, $140. Okay. So a year ago, this would be $140, maybe $150. Now it's $200, $195. But that's 2021 pricing. That's reasonable. Oh, that's reasonable. No, I'm sorry. That's with the flight controller and the ESC. No, that's what is it? $20 for the motors. That's a pretty good price. I mean, that's a pretty good price, honestly. Velox are $16 motors. Thank you, Speedy Turtle. I can't always keep them straight. They get the Velox, get the Pacer. So I think that price is a little higher. It feels like that price, however you break it down, is higher than I wish it were. But I feel like if you're spending $300, is it? I don't know. Because you're going to end up, let's say you put DJI in this, you spent $350 for a quad with $16 motors. Which flight controller is it? I mean, it's not the F-55, is it? It's the Pacer ESC. That's an okay ESC. Pacer F7. It is an F7. I mean, I feel like this is all budget stuff. It's budget motors. It's the Pacer flight controller. So it feels like this whole quad should come in around $200. But Speedy Turtle says the stack is $100, motors $64, frame $60. So you're getting a little bit of a discount. $210. That's 2021 pricing though. I mean, you used to could get a whole iFlight Nazgul for $210. So now, it's interesting. DQ says the only thing about the FT5 is the split top deck. That part breaks way too easily around the countersunk screw holes. That's always been my complaint about the FT5. Is I feel like this is a weak spot. And I've never really flown one enough to back it up, but there's just not a lot of carbon there. And I really want a solid top deck. Retail pricing, Chris Croft, is fine because T-Motor's selling things at retail. I mean, you're not going to get them at wholesale pricing. That's interesting. I like the idea that they're selling it as a 60% so you can put your own video stuff in it. That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever. Anyway, interesting. Maybe we'll cover that on the news. I know there's people who say they've never had a problem with it. Some people have said that the battery rips it off. That if you have a single battery strap, then the only thing holding your battery on is these two screws. And it can rip right off, especially because they're countersunk, so you don't even have the full thickness of carbon there. And it's like, why'd you countersink them? These screws are not countersunk. So you still need a battery pad and stuff. Anyway. The split top plate makes it easier to access the flight controller and ESC for maintenance. That's the theory. I'm actually not a fan of hard-mounted XT60 plugs. I'll tell you why. They used to do quads this way back in the day. And the problem is that when the XT60 is hard-mounted, if the battery ejects in a crash, it tears up your XT60 connector. It breaks the XT60 connector, and then what do? But if the XT60 is at the end of a wire, and the battery ejects in a crash, sometimes, like, it'll yank loose, but most of the time, it won't damage something permanently. I know you think that's not true, but this plastic is the weak spot. This plastic will just rip out, or these pins will rip off and bend sideways. So I'm actually really not a fan of hard-mounted, unless you could just be really confident that your battery's not going to eject. The XT60 is not proprietary, 661 FPV. I have purchased this style of XT60 off of Amazon. Hold on. Let's, yeah, so it is this style. It's a bulkhead mount XT60 is what I assume they're using. I've purchased these for other projects before. It's not a proprietary thing. Anyway. If you never eject a battery, then that's fine. Which, you know, let's maybe you don't. Speedy Turtle FPV wants to know, what do you think about putting a lens with a UV blocker on the Caddx Polar for daytime use? I think the Caddx Polar looks fine in the daytime. Do you think it had too much, like, purple from the UV? Excuse me. Carlos Betancourt says, I bought the Xylo Freakstyle HD version. What motors do you recommend to change them? 6S. Carlos, the motors are the thing on that Xylo beginner build that I would upgrade first. They're smaller, they're 2206 motors, and they're lower kV for beginners, so they're a little less powerful than you'll want as you get better. If you want suggestions for motors, let me show you this website I made. Ultimate FPV shopping list is on my website, fpvknowitall.com. And if we go to 5-inch freestyle drone parts, we go to motors, and we've got suggestions for motors. The budget one would be the Emax Eco 2. Very, very solid motor. There are various other choices there as well. John T. asks, after replacing my flight controller and setting up my VTX tables, Xylo stacks, now my rapid fire module constantly beeps throughout my flight. Any suggestions? John T., why is it beeping? Are you losing sync? I can't think of what would happen in your flight controller. I mean, Maybe if your VTX table was messed up, then you would not be at full output power, but you didn't say you had weak video. I guess I'm wondering why it's beeping. Do you have in the OSD, do you have the little lock icon in the upper left that shows when it's got lock? That would tell you if you were losing lock. We got to figure out what's happening, John, that's making it beep. One IFPV says, my Caddx polar camera has this fisheye effect on the left and right. Very obvious when yaw spinning. Is that normal? I didn't notice it, One Eye. DMOC86 says, aren't most of the motors on my website out of stock? I don't know, man. Are most of everything out of stock everywhere? I'm sure as heck not gonna update the website every time things go out of stock. It would be a full-time job. So I suggest the things that I think are good, and you can figure out where they're in stock. Looks like the Eco 2 is in stock at GetFPV, though. Boom. There you go. Eco 2 in stock at GetFPV. There you go. I think. In stock. 1300 kV. 1500 kV. 1700 kV. In stock. Oh, that's the 2807. That's a big one. How about the 2306? 2306. 1700 kV. In stock. 1900 kV. In stock. 2400 kV. In stock. Boom! All right. We got about 10 minutes left in tonight's stream. After I finish up, Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming on his channel. And he's in the chat right now, and he'll start posting a link to that. And if you want to keep watching people sit in their basement and talk to themselves, because that's entertainment. If you want to keep watching that, Aaron Ciotti's going to be streaming at 10 o'clock after I go off. There's the link. He's going to be doing some giveaways. He's still sick. You can't stream when you're sick, Ciotti. You got to quarantine. Rotor Riot sent me an email that the Nebula Pro was in stock, but it wasn't, said RX Tunes. Yeah, RX Tunes, I heard about that. There was a mistake made, unfortunately. I heard about that. Unfortunately, they do not have the Nebula Pro. Currently, people are saying that Nebula Pro is due to come back in stock sometime in September. So like a month from now. Fingers crossed. FPVExchange.com has some Nebula Pros, says Speedy Turtle. There you go. Always the used market. I'm sure if you made an order under false pretenses, they would give them back. FPV Cycle 5-inch FPV Cycle motor shipment is coming very soon. I'm gonna wait for Rugi to make an announcement about when, but I told him I personally wanted like 20 of the 5-inch motors. So yeah. Can't wait for that to happen. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's soon. Dennis Bika says, best Cinewhoop to use a full GoPro for indoor and outdoor. I feel like one of the 3.5-inch ones that are coming out is where I'd go if I wanted a full-size GoPro to make the best of the weight. A 3-inch like a Shendrone Squirt can do it, but they work really, really hard. Crunked is here. He's very happy to hear about the new KISS flight controller. Finally, KISS has built-in OSD. Yay! Only 5 years too late, but yay, they did it. I know FetTech. No, FetTech F7 didn't have it, did they? I'm not sure about that. DMOC86, I'm just going to buy them. I'm just buying the motors. But he said he had a huge shipment coming in that should take a while to sell out. So hopefully he will have stock of his motors for a while. Yeah, KISS has a new flight controller that has built-in OSD. You guys didn't hear about that? Right here at the end of the stream, just pinging it off. Not that you need it. I mean, KISS is so good, you don't even need to know when your battery's dead. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, well, we're going to wrap up. Does Crossfire telemetry on the receiver tell the transmitter to dynamically adjust the TX power? Basically, yeah, I think that's how that works, Jeremy Sarge. The telemetry from the receiver tells the transmitter what their RSSI is at the receiver. And then the transmitter raises or lowers the power. I think that's about right. Why didn't I go to multi-GP, International Open, Huff 19? I had a prior family commitment this weekend is the basic reason. I also don't really like traveling or people. So, but I had another commitment. Motown House wants to know, is Edge TX worth installing in place of OpenTX? Short answer, no. If you have a Radio Master and you really want to try touchscreen, you could flash Edge TX. If you have a QX7 and you don't want to do the inverter mod, Edge TX fixes that in software. So there are a couple specific things that Edge TX might give you, but for the most part, the only reason to install Edge TX today is if you just kind of want to try it out and see what they're up to. Even the touchscreen stuff is still really not fully fleshed out, although it does work. So. Static Motion says KISS didn't make an OSD flight controller. Alex did. What's the difference? Isn't Alex Fedorov? Isn't he basically KISS? What am I missing there? Thought he was. I'm going to sound dumb if I'm wrong, but I thought he was the lead KISS dev. Wesley Vardy says Edge TX if you want 500 hertz, except even if Edge TX sports 500 hertz in the controller, you might not have a radio link that supports 500 hertz. So still, I guess it's not true. I guess you could have, yeah, no, I take that back. Alrighty. Flyduino. Flyduino. That's the same word. What is it? It's not Flyduino? Flyduino. That's what it is. It's Flyduino. Isn't it? Whoa, Crunked! Back up. Back up. Back up. That's the line. You found it, Crunked. You found it. You found the line, dude. All right, kids. All right, kids. All right, wow. Okay, everybody. Yikes. Take it easy, guys. Crunked and Ciati, go at it in Ciati's live stream. We're going to finish this live stream up. Oh, those guys. So fun. We're going to finish up the live stream, folks. Thank you so much for coming out. I've enjoyed having you. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thanks to everybody who donated. Thanks to everybody who commented. And thanks to everybody who watched. I will be back with you at 6 p.m. tomorrow for the news with It's Blunty, and throughout the week with my normal amazing content. But for now, we are out of here. Ciati is going to be streaming. He's posted that link. But then I put him in timeout because he was arguing with Crunk. So there, I guess you can't see the link anymore. I'll paste it. Hang on. I'll paste the link. Let's see, you guys can go over there. Where's the link, Ciati? Where's your live stream, dude? Oh, here we go. It's coming soon. Here it is. Here's the link to Ciati's live stream. And if you're lucky, Crunk and Ciati will duke it out over there. Who knows? But that's going to do it, folks. Oh, I see. It's the new Kiss H7. But doesn't Flyduino make Kiss? I'm missing something here. There's Fat Tech. There's Kiss. And Flyduino makes Kiss. And Flyduino is Alexander Fedorov. Right? Somebody's got to... I've messed something up. Somebody's got to sort me out. But we'll do that another time. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's the end of the stream. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great stream. Ciati. Bye, everybody.